Thank you, Ms. Kabashe. We call Dr. Creason Naika to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award presented posthumously to his father, Dr. Gangadhura Mohamri Monty Naika, in recognition of his outstanding contribution to the promotion of non-racial unity among the oppressed people of South Africa, and vigorously promoting non-violent means in his courageous opposition to apartheid. Mr. Hasim Sidat will present the award.
Ladies and gentlemen, the award to Dr. Monty's son brings into focus the effort and the contribution made by that distinguished personality. I had known Dr. Naika personally, and as I said elsewhere, he was a remarkable person, and whenever at any function he arrived, his presence lit up the whole group. And I have great pleasure in asking Dr. Naika to say a few words about the recipient.
The Gandhi Development Trust, Ella Gandhi, Consul General of India, Deputy Mayor Logi Naidu, and all protocols acknowledged. It is with great humility and pride that I accept this award for my late father, Mohamri Naika, affectionately known as Monty. This award is appropriate as he was a faithful follower of Gandhi's philosophy of passive resistance. Right up until his death, he never wavered from this principle, despite the harsh treatment he received from the apartheid government. Though the ANC undertook the armed struggle after many years of trying unsuccessfully to negotiate with the apartheid government, he never took part or advocated for any form of violence. But at the same time, he never condemned the armed struggle, as he felt there were others who thought differently. He devoted his whole life to the struggle for the freedom for all South Africans, irrespective of race, and also for the upliftment of the poor and underprivileged. He always said, people are not put on this earth just to make money, but that there must be another purpose to life. Besides the struggle for freedoms, he felt, was to try and alleviate the poverty and the suffering he saw around him. He was always concerned of the plight of the poor, as many of his patients came from this background. He always encouraged them to uplift themselves and their children to education. I have been asked on many an occasion what his views would be if he were alive today. Like all of us, he would have been ecstatic about the release of Nelson Mandela, the unbanning of the ANC, and of our first truly democratic elections in 1994. However, he would be disappointed that though we have achieved political freedom, we have not achieved the socio-economic empowerment for all our people, which he was so concerned about. We have an economy that is modeled on Western capitalism, the primary objective of which is to maximize profit for shareholders, an economy that thrives by exploiting its workers with no benefit for the poor. We must remember that no amount of political freedom can feed the hungry nation. He would be disappointed at our unequal and divided society where almost 50% of the population are poor, and the divisions between the rich and poor are getting wider. Generations of systemic exploitation under the past racial laws has resulted in poverty which has not improved since our freedom. He would be disappointed at our fractured society, a society full of contradictions. We talk about caring, about Ubuntu, yet we have one of the highest incidences of rape and murder in the world. Rape of children as young as 1 and grannies as old as 100, and the majority by men known to them or their families. We say we are a rainbow nation, but we are still divided on racial lines. He would be concerned that even though we have a democratic government elected by the people, for the people, one which is supposed to serve and uplift all its people, in contradiction, we have a capitalist economy which favors a small percentage of rich who were the previously advantaged and members of the new BEE club, membership to which is restricted to the well-connected and their offspring. He would find it difficult to understand or justify the government's tabling of the Protection of Information Bill, because throughout his life he fought for the freedom of speech and association and access to information. He will remind us not to forget that the price of freedom is permanent vigilance, and that no capitalist economy can be sustained if considerations of socio-political stability and morality are not taken into account. He would be concerned by the high level of corruption permeating through our society, even in our government, and would pressure the government to cure this disease by bringing those involved, especially in the party, to book speedily and heal our fractured society. Because of the behavior of these few, an unfortunate perception is being created that all in government and the party are corrupt. But despite this doom and gloom that some of us may feel, he would still believe and have faith in our people to overcome these obstacles, to achieve the socio-economic empowerment that is missing. About 2 months ago, we experienced this intoxicating, euphoric sense of patriotism with social and racial cohesion, stimulated by the new opium of the masses called football. The lesson from this is that all of us, irrespective of race, class, political affiliations, love this country and its people and want to see it work. 16 years ago, we showed the world that we as a nation could move forward from one of the most amoral and violently repressive governments in the world through peaceful negotiations. Let's work together to build a new Ubuntu type of economy which will not only serve the small percentage of rich, but also serve and uplift the poor majority. The great division between the rich and poor is not unique to South Africa, but we see this situation in the rest of the capitalist world. This will be a fitting tribute to Monty and the other recipients of the awards tonight, and the thousands who sacrificed their lives for our freedom. Thank you again.
We call Ms. Roshan Dadu to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award presented posthumously to her father, Dr. Yusuf Dadu, in recognition of his courageous and tireless efforts at mobilizing the working class, forging non-racial unity and building a formidable anti-apartheid movement outside South Africa to accelerate the struggle against apartheid. Mr. Hasim Sidat will present the award.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and also very humbling for me to accept this award on behalf of my father, Dr. Yusuf Dadu. And I'd like to thank all the organizations and individuals that have put this evening together. I think it's particularly significant, this award, this Gandhi Award for my father, for a few reasons. Firstly, because it's a birthday present. If he had been alive last Sunday, he would have turned 101. So I think it's a very appropriate date. And secondly, because it's taking place here in eThekwini in Durban City Hall. And I know my father used to tell me stories of how much he used to enjoy coming down from the Transvaal to Durban to meet with the comrades here in the Natal Indian Congress and the ANC here. And he used to say how they'd organize meetings in the street, I think outside of this building somewhere downtown, and organize, mobilize, talk to people, and cook a lot, especially during the sardine run, which was his favorite time to come. So again, that's happened recently and reminded me of him in that respect. But of course, most significantly, the fact that my father was very influenced by Gandhiji, both personally and politically. He knew him personally, they met up together, I think, well, Dr. Reddy knows the details and remembers the dates. I think at least twice they'd met up together, and they certainly corresponded over a long period of time. And I think that there was a very big influence on my father and other comrades that influenced also, obviously, our struggle here. But it wasn't always a relationship in which they necessarily agreed all of the time. And I think in the book of the correspondence, you can see it was a real engagement on issues and trying to find a way that you could use the principles and values and some of the tactics of Gandhi's passive resistance in a way that was appropriate for South Africa and held meaning and was possible to mobilize around. So I think finally that's the kind of message I hope that we take from awards such as these, because we do still, of course, have a struggle to continue, and we need to again look at ways in which we might execute that struggle in a creative, in a peaceful, and in a non-violent and unified way. So I hope that gives a little bit of the meaning that I would hope that this award would have for my father. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dadu, and thank you to Mr. Hasim Sidat for presenting the awards.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to call upon now Judge Shanaz Mir to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Awards being presented posthumously to her mother, Prof. Fatima Mir, in recognition of her tireless struggle against apartheid and consistently raising the issue of human rights and the plight of the poorest of the poor with courage and fortitude. Mr. S. Gauden will present the awards.
In those days, every Sunday, the Passive Resistance Council would have a mass meeting on what we called, or they called, the Red Square. For platform, there used to be a lorry, and Cathries provided the loudspeaking system. And that is where I made my political debut. The first speech that I made there caught the fancy of the people. And I soon became a very popular public speaker.
The Institute of Black Research that she worked with churned out numerous articles. She became a person for me who exemplified what it meant to be an activist in a dry white season. And in retrospect, I must say she's one of the women I think who fashioned and helped me to come to terms of what it meant to be white in South Africa.
She is one who believed in true non-racialism and lived that way.
She was happy to work tirelessly so that the lives of other people could improve.
The thing about Fatima Meer is that you always knew of her, even if you had not met her. You knew of this formidable woman who, despite everything that oppression tried to put in her way, managed to leave us, even in this day, into the future with a very loud, clear voice.
We have the responsibility of liberating South Africa from apartheid, which still pursues us. Previously, discrimination was based on color. Now, discrimination is based on class. The poor are discriminated and they are blamed for their poverty. This is the great challenge that faces all of us. And it is a challenge that we must accept with open arms and open hearts. We as civil society are also the repository of the moral order. So we have that on our side. Together we will overcome. Let us work towards that.
Good evening. It is indeed an honor for me to be here and accept this award on behalf of my mother, Fatima Meer. It is particularly fitting that my mother be honored by the Satyagraha Mahatma Gandhi Trust, because my mother was not only a renowned Gandhian scholar, but she embraced as a human being the philosophy of Satyagraha. Two of her better known books, The Apprenticeship of a Mahatma and The South African Gandhi, which is a compilation of writings by Gandhi during his South African era, speak to this. I think it is also particularly fitting that my mother be honored tonight when we have the illustrious presence of Enyuga Reddy. My mother worked closely with Enyuga Reddy, was inspired by him, and had a strong association with him for many years. I thank you for the tribute you have bestowed upon my mother. Perhaps the best tribute we can pay to her is to emulate her indomitable spirit, her moral courage, her integrity, her commitment to the poor, and her feistiness for which she was loved and admired. Thank you so much.
Thank you, our Honorable Judge, for the words of wisdom. We now call Ms. Sophia William Dubrain to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Awards presented to you in recognition of your commitment and fortitude in raising gender issue, for your tireless working in the liberation struggle, particularly in the trade union movement, for vigorously raise the issue of the working class and of the colored community, and for encouraging that community to take part in the broader struggle for freedom. Mr. S. Gauden will present the awards.
Chairperson of the Satyagraha Management Board, Elder Gandhi, the board members, the mayor, the district mayor that is here, the Gandhi Development Trust and its trustees, Dr. Reddy and fellow recipients, and I want to observe all protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to express my deep gratitude for having been nominated for this most prestigious award. More so because it is alongside men and women, comrades, whom some of are no longer with us, and who I have known for many, many years. They are known legends and icons of selfless sacrifice and service, of courage and commitment, deep commitment. I have been privileged to have worked with them, and they have molded and guided and directed me in my own struggle journey. And without them, I would not have been what I am today. And I thank you most profusely, the trust, for having brought me here to accept this award. And I am forever mindful of the pain and the insufferable human conditions that still plague South Africans and the continent. And we have to take hands with our international partners so that we can build a peaceful, prosperous nation of South Africans. We have overcome much, but we still need to overcome many challenges of a developing and a non-racial nation, and who have a lot of faith and hope in the future, which their forefathers, like Montinaika, Dr. Dadu, Ruth First, Fatima Meer, saw for them. And I want to refer to the question that Mr. Sidat had posed here tonight, and to say that so many times that question was posed to me, to say to me, what you have done in your lifetime, is this what it all amounts to? And my answer to that was that if I had the opportunity to live another lifetime, without a doubt, I would do it all over again. But only this time, I would do it better. Because I would be more knowledgeable, and I would do it smarter, because I was more exposed. So I would want to also say to my children who are here tonight, my son, Angelo, and his sister, Sonia, and in absentia, my daughter, Danielle, who couldn't be with us this evening, to say to them, thank you for your understanding and your support all these years when I and your father neglected you because we were busy with the struggle and doing the things that all of the comrades did, and probably also neglected their own children. And we see the scars today of that neglect, and we say sorry to you and to all the children that were in the same position. And so in accepting this award with humility on behalf of Helen Joseph and Rahima Musa and Lillian Ngoy, I accept it with deep humility and gratitude. And I want to dedicate it to all those unsung heroines, women that are still languishing under the brutality, and those women that we know walked the same journey with us, and we hope and know that they will be recognized at some stage. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the struggle song. What remains is with the youth to take the struggle forwards. We now would like to say thank you, Ms. Sophia Williams-Dupree, for the words of motivation, most importantly to the youth. We now call Dr. Amt Katrada to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Awards presented to him in recognition of his outstanding courage, wisdom, and foresight in the struggle for liberation, for working tirelessly to mobilize the masses to forge non-racial unite, and for consistently maintaining integrity, human rights, and a culture of responsibility. In this regard, Mr. S. Gauden will present the award.
Under apartheid legislation, Kathrada had to attend an Indian school, and as there were no such schools in Schweizer-Reneke, he had to move to Johannesburg to be educated. Once in Johannesburg, Kathrada comes under the influence of leaders of the Transvaal Indian Congress such as Ismail Mir, J.N. Singh and Yusuf Dadu. By age 17, Kathrada is already participating and playing a key role in a number of anti-apartheid campaigns.
Cathy has been in every major political trial until he landed in jail in the Rivonia trial. 1946, 1950, 1952, 1956 treason trial, you name it, every national trial Cathy has been involved.
Despite repeated detentions and severe house arrest measures, Kathrada dons many disguises and continues his political activities. However, he and his comrades are arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment on the notorious Robben Island.
Cathy was asked during the Rivonia trial by our advocates that they felt the evidence against him was almost nil. Would he be prepared to accept a separate argument on his behalf that he should be found not guilty? And Cathy said no. I'm as guilty or as innocent as my colleagues, and I don't want to be treated separately.
Very good. Well, I had waited long, and we met again. It was a moving experience, and became very clear that nowhere in the world the human spirit can be destroyed by a tyrant or an oppressor. He had emerged unscathed, ready to serve his people as he had done in the past.
He has been a great instrument of the movement. That is what he has brought, confidence in the future.
We have spoken often of the long road we have traveled together. But Madala, you would agree that to find ourselves still going strong after nearly a decade into the 21st century is extraordinary. Your friendship has been a great resource to me in good times and in bad.
We have a long way to go, but we have achieved quite a bit. I was told recently by somebody who's much more knowledgeable than I am, and he said, show me one country which has emerged from colonialism, which has achieved in 16 years what we have achieved. There weren't any. But we mustn't now sit back and think everything is achieved. We still have to work hard to consolidate what we have achieved.
When you come back, will you pity the drums when you come back? Will you ring the bells when you come back? Will you pity the drums when you come back? Our lost African music will turn into the music of the people. Here's the people's music by the people's culture, and I'll be the one who will climb up the mountain, reaching for the top of our Africa days, while the poor women are working for the lazy Lord. Sing, Africa sing, Africa sing, Africa sing, Africa sing, I sing, sing Africa, I sing, sing Africa. Let these illusions of memories be off from the people's minds.
Comrade Indira Gandhi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to make a speech. Rather than that, I'm going to dedicate my entire few minutes to people who are no longer here, people with whom I had the privilege to work, people who inspired us throughout the years. But being in Durban, we should remember that it was in Durban in 1860 that the indentured laborers came. It was in Durban that in 1893 Mahatma Gandhi landed. It was in Durban that in 1894 that he gave birth to the Natal Indian Congress. In 1914, Gandhiji departed from South Africa, and there was a lull in Indian politics, and we descended into the politics of petitions, deputations, resolutions, until the arrival in the 40s of Dr. Naika and Dr. Dado. And they changed the whole outlook of the South African Indian Congress. They brought back dignity, courage, dedication that Gandhiji had left behind. It was in Durban that the passive resistance movement in 1946 took place under the leadership of Dr. Naika and Dr. Dado. And then we come to the Defiance campaign and so many other campaigns thereafter that were led under the inspiration of these men. But I want to dedicate this award first and foremost to Chief Lutuli, with whom we were treason trialists together, Dr. Naika, also with whom we were treason trialists together, M.B. Yangwa, Moses Mabida, and many others whose names will be too long to mention. But most importantly, on a night like this, I'd like to dedicate this award to two of my mentors, Ismail Mir and Jayan Singh. These two were law students at WITS when I was at high school, and it was by meeting them that I really began to understand at that young age what politics was all about. And as I say, they became my mentors, but while I'm mentioning Ismail, I cannot forget Fatima. And it was Fatima who also remained a lifelong friend and an inspiration to us. It was Fatima who tried to visit us in prison, and they kept on refusing, but she did smuggle herself in at some stage. And then I want to just name people, as I said, leaders, many of whom quite a number of you may have not even heard of, and I think they need to be remembered. S.V. Reddy, George Singh, Dr. Ansiya Singh, Gopalal Herbans, Dr. Vasu Chetty, M.P. Naika, Daud Siddharth, Fatima Siddharth, Dr. Gunam, Debbie Singh, Dr. Padiachi, Dr. Chota Motala, Dr. Ahmad Saider, Dr. B.T. Chetty, A.R. Mir, Hassan Mal, and many, many others. I'm naming these because these are men and women with whom I worked as a young person. And it was an inspiration to be working with these people. So while we congratulate Ella for bringing to life again some of these people, I wish that an organization such as the Trust can, over a period, also remember these people. And finally, I want to pay tribute to E.S. Reddy, who has been an inspiration to us throughout the years. A giant, a walking encyclopedia of the struggle of our people. This evening, he presented to me a book that he had written. And before I came here, I was just glancing through it, and a whole lot of history came back to me. Now, we should not be confining that history just to the book that E.S. has written. It's again a task that Ella and his organization should really take into account. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say. Just to end by saying that the memory of the sacrifices of the men and women that I have named, it is a memory that should be kept alive so that the youth of today and the generations to come will be able to walk forward unitedly under one national anthem, under one united flag, the flag of the free South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Kathrada, for accepting the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Awards. And once again, we would like to thank Mr. S. Gauden for presenting all the awards. We now call Ms. Sue Rapking to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Awards being presented posthumously to Dr. Ruth First in recognition of her courage, sacrifice, and commitment to the cause of the working class, her tireless efforts in mobilizing people against farm atrocities and discriminatory laws, human rights abuses, and exploitation of the masses, ultimately paid her high price, that of being assassinated. Dr. Jean Wall will then represent the awards.
May I start, excuse me, may I start by thanking the Gandhi Development Trust and the Satyagraha Management for presenting the Satyagraha Award to Ruth First for outstanding service. I do so on behalf of her daughters, Sean, Gillian, and Robin Slovo, who are unable to be here tonight and who have asked me to represent them. It is a humbling experience for me to do so this evening. I would have loved to have talked about Ruth's role as a journalist in uncovering the barbaric treatment of workers on the potato farms in Bethel, which exposure led to the potato boycotts of the late 1950s. I would also have loved to have told you about the many, varied, and often heated discussions we had in ANC and SACP forums in Maputo while she was teaching at Eduardo Mondlane University. But in the few minutes I have, I can only briefly relate a short story which I hope gives insight into the kind of thinker Ruth was and her contribution to our movement and to South Africa. The events leading to the Zimbabwe elections in 1980 were closely monitored and discussed by the operatives and cadres of our movement. Ruth was based in Maputo at the time, teaching Frelimo cadres and ex-combatants. ANC support for ZAPU was very strong. In 1981, 1 year after the Zimbabwe elections, and 3 years before ZAPU was disbanded, Ruth challenged ANC support for ZAPU, which was based on a historic political alliance and reinforced by nostalgia and sentimentalism. Ruth put forward that ZAPU had changed. ZAPU was increasingly being weakened by internal strife and corruption. ZAPU was unable to operate effectively. The ANC was oblivious to this change, wrongly assuming that because of ZAPU's historic role in leading the armed struggle in Zimbabwe, it would retain its support amongst the people. Ruth's starting point in the subsequent political discussions was that however much we might want things to stay the same, organizations change. Even revolutionary organizations change. The ANC had wrongly predicted the outcome of the elections because it wanted ZAPU to win the elections. She stated many times that, and I quote, "We," that's the ANC, "like ZAPU, believe our own publicity." Close quotes. Had we faced the reality that ZAPU had changed, our relationship with ZANU would have been quite different. And perhaps even the events in Zimbabwe today might have been very different. Ruth was able to cut straight through to the core of an issue. Her internalization of the dialectic enabled her to rigorously analyze political situations. Her academic training determined precision and accuracy of information. Her principled stand and adherence to revolutionary principles and values enhanced her worldview. It was our loss, South Africa's loss, that her life was cut short. For one wonders how she would have viewed South Africa today, how she would have explained and understood the changes happening under our watch. I thank you.
Attending for us. Amandla! Amandla! Viva ANC, viva! Now we know where ANC come from. Even if we have to meet the veterans in town, we know where they come from. Thank you very much, Ms. Sue Rapkin, for accepting the awards from Mahatma Gandhi's Satyagraha. We will now call upon Mr. Lalu Isu Chiba to accept the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Awards presented to him in recognition of his courage, humility, commitment, and tireless work for liberation, using his skills from the very earlier day of his youth, despite torture and incarceration, to forge non-racial unity against the divisive, inhuman, and oppressive apartheid system. We then call Dr. Jinwal to present the awards.
Good evening, everybody. Program Director, distinguished guests, comrades and friends, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my family, I wish to take this opportunity of expressing our deep and sincerest appreciation and gratitude to the Board of Management of Satyagraha and the Gandhi Development Trust for having nominated me as one of the recipients of the 2010 Satyagraha Award. My family and I are deeply moved and humbled at this great honor which has been bestowed upon me. Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time. This evening is getting late, but I do want to relate a particular incident that had taken place many, many years ago. I'm going back to July 1964. On the 6th of July 1964, the Special Branch raided many homes in the Indian areas of Johannesburg, Vredendorp and Fordsburg, and they arrested many people. Among them was Mac Maharaj, who was detained at Marshall Square. Among them was myself. I was detained at the Nglakta police station. And there was another comrade called Sulman Babla Saluji, who was also detained on that same day. But 2 months after our detention, Comrade Babla, who was detained at the Rosebank police station, was brutally murdered by the South African police. And that murder took place on the 9th of September 1946. Today happens to be the 46th anniversary of his death. And so on this occasion, ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity of dedicating this award to Babla Saluji and all those who were murdered brutally by the South African police for the simple reason that they had dared to defy the South African government and fought for the liberation of our oppressed people. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chiba. We now like to call upon the MEC for Human Settlement in KwaZulu-Natal, Mrs. Maggie Govender, whose officers have supported this event since 2006. We thank you for your continued support.
The program director, esteemed guests, and all protocol observed. I must commence by saying that I want to extend the apologies of the Premier, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who is not here today. He unfortunately could not be with us, although he really wanted to, and has asked me to represent him at the function. And it is the Office of the Premier that has been supporting this event for many years. So first and foremost, allow me to extend good wishes from the Premier, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. He would surely have been inspired by this event. I also wish to convey words of gratitude from the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal. We are indeed grateful that you have converged this evening to recognize those who have played a meaningful role to ensure the liberation of humankind. And as government, we want to record our appreciation to the Gandhi Development Trust and the Satyagraha management for the excellent coordination of this important event. More importantly, we believe that it is appropriate to name these awards after one of the great leaders to have set foot on our soil, the great Mahatma Gandhi. He shall forever be credited as one of the pioneers of our struggle for freedom, infusing in it the values of discipline and peaceful resistance as a major part of our struggle for liberation. You would recall that earlier this year, the provincial government joined Ila Gandhi and her family in their prayers for Gandhi's eternal rest in peace.
His last remaining ashes were immersed deep in the Indian Ocean off the Durban coast on the 30th of January 2010. This event cemented our strong relations with India, and we believe that the spirit of the great Mahatma shall be forever with us. We also appreciate as government the opportunity to be part of this occasion, given the fact that this year we are commemorating the 150 years of the arrival of the Indian indentured laborers, the ancestral origin of the large community that has added to the tapestry of our rainbow nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, 2010 also marks 100 years since the birth of one of the most respected leaders of the Indian community and our struggle in general, Dr. Monty Naika, who is celebrated for his outstanding leadership and his role in uniting the struggles of Indian people in what was referred to as the Doctors' Pact, together with Dr. Yusuf Dadu and Dr. Kuma, in 1947, as they called for a united democratic front in fighting apartheid. This evening, therefore, we celebrate these great contributions in the social, cultural, and economic development of our country. And government will join hands with civil society in celebrating the arrival of the people of Indian origin in South Africa. And we welcome the contribution and participation of the Government of India in these celebrations. A strong message is being communicated that we are one big family united in diversity. It is this diversity of our South African nation that makes us a unique country in its pursuit of the ideals of non-racialism, non-sexism, unity, democracy, equality, and human rights based on our Constitution. These are the ideals of great leaders such as Nkosi Albert Mvumbi Luthuli, who was the first African Nobel Peace Laureate, and this year our country also commemorates the 50th anniversary of this historic occasion. We have no doubt that the ushering in of democracy in our country and the advent of peace in our region is the best tribute in gratitude for his dedication to the cause of our freedom. Honored guests, drawing from the exemplary leadership of the great Mahatma Gandhi and Nkosi Albert Luthuli, this government has created an environment that gives all South Africans, irrespective of race or color, the opportunity to contribute towards the building of this country. Critically, we have an inclusive government that promotes reconciliation and nation building. It was most inspiring during the FIFA 2010 World Cup, when the people of this province joined hands and displayed compassion and friendship. There was commitment from all leaders of our society and all communities to ensure that we hosted the most wonderful soccer showpiece. This commitment made us realize that as different communities, we have common concerns and aspirations about the future of our country and our province. We all share a passion for the creation of an integrated, non-racial society enjoying freedom and living in a safe and prosperous province. We need to sustain this commitment and continue to pull together to make ours the most stable and prosperous province. Let us work together to deal with the challenge of HIV and AIDS and tuberculosis. Whilst government has unveiled measures aimed at expanding the availability of antiretroviral treatment, members of the society must play an active role. Those who are affected by HIV and AIDS must not be discriminated against, but must be given love and compassion. We must all participate in government's program aimed at ensuring behavioral change, and we must all be responsible and live a healthy lifestyle. I have no doubt that this approach will ensure that eventually we achieve social stability. Program Director, I would not be doing justice if I did not talk about crime and intolerance. Crime has become the biggest threat to social cohesion, and it poses a serious challenge since the demise of apartheid. As government, we reiterate our respect for the rights of citizens to live in a crime-free society. Last year, government launched a United Front Against Crime, an initiative which seeks to ensure the integration and coordination of the efforts of stakeholders from education, economic development, social development, health, Home Affairs, the police, and criminal justice departments, and includes municipalities. Because crime occurs in our communities, it is vital that as society, we must be integrally involved in the campaign to create safer neighborhoods. As government, we are strengthening the participation of civil society in this campaign. Churches against crime, business against crime, street committees, and neighborhood watch groups. Establishing an environment in which people can truly live together in safety and peace is the responsibility of all of us in this province. We will always argue as government that the problem of crime is not a problem of policing, that the police must be either blamed or must be responsible for dealing with it. It is us as a society who have to do a lot more long before we think of the police. For example, the police need support from society in terms of creating an environment of peaceful coexistence and acceptance of human beings by one another. A society of people who, when they are sitting quietly, they are not in their hearts grinding hatred and anger, but are living peacefully, and their thoughts are very pure and of positive sentiments of love and concern for other people, thinking about how to help the next person. All of us would like to live in a world where there isn't any problem of hatred, any problem of tension, conflicts, wars, violence, and fights. All of us would not like to live in a society that is ridden with such things. Therefore, we need to work together in partnership to deal with the whole aspect of building the spirituality of all our people, such that at the end of it, anyone who comes to South Africa must always remember the smiles of the people of South Africa. They must always remember the love and the warmth of the people of KwaZulu-Natal. This is the task that all of us have, because in this way, we will then be able to make an impact against crime. Some of those who get involved in crime are people who never received any sense of love and warmth when they were brought up, and we need to also spread this message of peace. First, peace within the South, and then, of course, peace that should be shared amongst all. These are the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi, Nkosi Albert Luthuli, Dr. Monty Naika, Ahmed Kathrada, Ruth First, Fatima Mir, Lalu Chiba, and Sophie Williams de Bruyn. Wherever we are, we celebrate their legacy and their contribution towards the creation of a free society. We therefore congratulate the organizers of these awards for the excellent execution of them. We wish you everything of the best, and we wish you many more years of success and partnership. We wish you many more years of spreading the message of goodwill, of love, of peace, of compassion, of mutual respect amongst all people, of tolerance across different faiths and different religious groups and different ethnic and racial groups. It is a message that the whole world needs so that we could have a better world. The Mahatma Gandhi and Satyagraha Awards will assist us to spread this message. I want to thank you very much for giving the provincial government the opportunity to be part of this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Maggie Governor. We now call upon the Honorable Shri Chakrapani, Speaker of the Andhra Pradesh Legislature, who will present the Gandhi Development Trust with a spinning wheel. Can I have Ella Gandhi come forward and Shri Chakrapani?
Mrs. Ila Gandhiji, distinguished guests, I was invited to take part in these celebrations. I'm on the way to Nigeria to participate, speak Commonwealth Country Speakers Conference. Message gave to me only last week. When my colleagues, the legislators, MPs were with me in my chamber when the message came. They were all thrilled when the message came from Ila Gandhi asking me to take part in these celebrations. There are many activities in India in the name of Gandhiji. When I was a student of law college, the then Chief Minister Sanjeevaya started one college, Kasturiba Gandhi College for Ladies, Engineering College, the first college, engineering college, only exclusively for women in the year 1960. That was the love and affection for Gandhiji enjoyed throughout India. Now we have seen, Madam, you have selected most eminent personalities, Dr. Reddy and others, who contributed a lot. Really that inspired. Gandhiji always stood for against any exploitation, oppression, unjust laws. You are continuing on his footsteps. We, the people of India, are with you in the development of the foundation for the peace, for the cause of peace. Without peace, no development. Today, only everybody admits no atom bomb can succeed in controlling, in bringing peace. Only in non-violence, truth alone can bring peace in this world. You march, we are behind you. The people of Andhra, behind you. The people of India are behind you. Please continue this peace march through non-violence, through truth. This is most important. Otherwise, there is no development, there is no peace for this world. The survival of mankind depends upon only on the principles of Gandhiji. I once again give our good wishes to the people of Andhra Pradesh, the people of India sent to you. Thank you to all.
Thank you to the Honorable Shri Chakrapani for those words. I would now like to call upon Paddy Kearney, the Chairman of the Gandhi Development Trust, to give the vote of thanks.
Dear sisters and brothers, there are quite a number of people to be thanked, so I'm sure you will continue to be as patient as you have been throughout this evening. First of all, we would like to thank those people who paid for tables, which makes this event much more sustainable. Engine, KZN Oils, Mondi, Telcom, Ray Mehta, the City Hospital, TQM Management Projects, SLB Consulting, the Bank of Baroda, Video Vision, Edison Power. We thank the staff of Satyagraha who always play an enormously important role in this event. Pilani and the Ink Area Group for the praise, speech and dance. I'm sure we'll all long remember that little boy who was the praise singer. Can we give him a round of applause? And the DUT students who helped with the program, learners from the various institutions who acted as escorts and made sure that none of us got lost either coming up to the stage or going back from the stage. Share the Rush was the name of the group that provided the music. SD Video videoed the event. African Lotus provided the DVDs, Indian delights, the excellent catering. We haven't quite finished that excellent catering yet, but we'll be enjoying more of it soon. Acoustic Avenue for the sound. Imagine Durban, who helped with the excellent coordination of this event. The Premier's office and the eThekwini municipality, who have faithfully sponsored this event since its inception. We thank all our speakers, and I think you will agree that we've had some magnificent speeches this evening, bringing to mind such important parts of our history. Can we give a round of applause for all those speakers? We thank all the awardees for their outstanding example in difficult times. We are delighted that their families were able to be here to receive the awards and to celebrate their lives with us. A round of applause for them too, please. One of our newest trustees is Kedar Ramgobin, Ila's son. He worked day and night to ensure the success of this event. And we also want to specially thank Ila herself for her leadership and inspiration, which made possible this event and many others like it, which keep alive the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi. We thank all those many people who supported her so well in organizing this evening. It's especially exciting that so many young people have contributed so much to this evening. We hope that they will continue to work closely with the Gandhi Development Trust and Satyagraha in the future. A round of applause for them, all the young people. Finally, we thank all of you for your attendance, especially those who have had to travel long distances from New York and from India. We are so grateful that you have been with us this evening. Continue to enjoy the rest of the program.
We're a group of friends and we share a common passion, and that is music. Therefore, we aptly named Share the Rush. We're going to do some songs for you tonight. Some of them you'll know, popular tunes, some with some special messages. Do enjoy. This is for your entertainment.
The sun beats down and melts the tar upon the roof, and your shoes get so hot you wish your tired feet were fireproof. Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, yeah, on a blanket with my baby, where I'll be. Under the boardwalk, I'll love the sun. Under the boardwalk, we'll be having some fun. Under the boardwalk, people walking above. Under the boardwalk, we'll be falling in love. Under the boardwalk, boardwalk.
we, Riaz. Thank you. Hit me in. Here's a great song written by a great man, the late John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Know how below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Imagine there's no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will live as one. Thank you very much. Here's a song that takes you back. This one is a Bill Withers tune. Lots of meaning in this song.
all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow. For no one can fill those of your needs that you don't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you'll have to bear that you can carry, for right up the road, and I'll share your load. That you just call me, you just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on brother and you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Take it away, Riaz. Thank you. It's a bit warm up here.